Hello and welcome to the SEO plus AI show. My name is Josh. How they ranked number one Bashinsky. Today we're doing our semi-quarterly roundup of the stats of how people are ranking in SEO, and that's what we're talking about today. And we're going to show you how they ranked number one using AI to do so, and did it faster, cheaper, and easier. With me, as always, I have my co-host Greg Bassani. Say hi there, Greg.
Hey, everybody. Super excited to see these results after this huge update. And yeah, it should be a good show. How's it going?
It's going great. Yes, it's very interesting. Today, I'll also answer is spam a bad factor that you need to watch out for? Can AI track it? Do we track it in our system? The answer is yes, and you're going to see. And is SEO getting any harder? Is it easier? Is it harder? What's going on with SEO? Today, we're going to show you all those secrets of how they ranked number one and how some people didn't rank number one. And so we're going to talk about that today. So before I get to that, a little bit of housekeeping. I have a long-running segment on the show called "Is Josh broadcasting to YouTube properly?" So let's go check to see, am I broadcasting to YouTube correctly? Let's go check to see here if I'm broadcasting, and it looks like I am. Didn't rank number. And there was noise and everything. Woohoo! Okay, great. So I am broadcasting YouTube correctly. So if you haven't realized by now, this is a live show. And if you're watching live, we do it Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific. You're welcome to join. You're welcome to ask questions on the right-hand side. Make sure you click the bell or smack the monkey or kick the goat in the face or whatever you need to do down there to click the stuff to make sure you're notified when we go live so you can ask questions live. We are happy to answer any SEO questions that you might have. Also, you can ask any SEO questions you might have in the comments below the description down there. And then my wonderful and lovely video producer, Raluca, cuts up the live show and makes shorts out of it, and also makes a produced show, which is released on Fridays at 10 a.m. So if you want to see more of a condensed version, watch out for my shorts and watch for the short videos. It is not my shorts, and watch for the produced show, which is put out on Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific time. All right, so without further ado, let's get right to it. How they ranked number one. Let me show you what we found out for April 2024. Okay, let me get rid of all this junk that's around the sides and stuff. Go away that. Okay, good. Okay, so SEO Copilot, April report 2024, how they ranked number one. What do the stats look like? Well, first off, here's the boots. The boots. Here's the boosts. And some people are getting the boot. But here's the boosts. Over this quarter, from January to now, we are up approximately a 7-spot boost on average over the entire user base. So the entire user base of SEO Copilot, which is our AI, which does SEO rankings, boosted people on average 7 spots. Now, that is down by 2 spots from last quarter, which was up by 9 spots, and the previous quarter, which was up by 8 spots. So yes, SEO is possible, and yes, people are using AI to do it, and they're doing it faster, easier, and paying less money to do it, and they're making it they're doing more at the same time. But instead of getting 9-spot boosts on average, they only got a 7-spot boost on average. So let me be clear. That's not a 7-spot demotion on average. People boosted by 7 spots on average, but sadly that's down from last quarter of them being boosted when I checked in January. From April 2023 to January 2024, mid-January, they were being boosted by 9 spots on average. So that's very interesting to show that although you can still get boosts and AI is the place to do it, that some people are not getting as good boosts. And so we're going to dig in a little bit more into why that is. And I'm going to show you why that is a little bit later in the broadcast. But Greg, so what do you think of that fact that people are only boosted by 7 spots as opposed to 9 as they were last time?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's the percentage? That's a 2 divided by 9 is maybe 20%-ish change. I guess on the surface, you look at that and like, oh, you've done worse. But as your next bullet point shows, is more people are ranking and getting boosts aggregately. So I think it's to me, the SERPs are getting crowded at the top. They're pushing us down. They're pushing everyone down unless you're a main entity or like a government or in my cases, an airport. The big brands are just cemented up there in like 3 to 4 spots. So maybe those were attainable, but you're just, no matter what you do, you're going to get pushed down a couple spots.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be reflected here.
Yeah. And
That's the only observation I would make, other than looking at the data, which you're going to dive into.
yeah. And that's a really good point. And that, I think, is chalked up to not selecting the right ranking opportunity to begin with. And that's why in our AI
Yeah,
system,
absolutely.
we start
Yep.
off, let me show you quickly. In our AI system, we start off with keyword discovery. Right here in our dashboard, you see find the ranking opportunities is the first step in a 4-step process. And what you want to do is you want to look in your particular area, like plaid shirts or whatever it is, and you want to see if it's a very tough niche. You want to click this to get the breakdown as to how tough it is and why it's so tough and those kinds of things. And you can also get a keyword revenue ballpark of how much money you can make. And users need to choose the right keywords to begin with. So you go through here, you scroll down, and you start clicking the ones that look like they're average difficulty or easier, and start off with those ones and that are making the most money. You sort by final ROI to get the highest money and the easiest times the easiest ranking opportunity, and that's how you get the best final ROI score in our system. And if you're choosing those keywords to try to rank for to begin with, I think this partly accounts for why we didn't boost them by 9 spots on average. We only boosted them by 7 spots. Now again, that's still a good thing. It's like I love the stock market or companies who are like, oh, we're down 20% this quarter from what we expected to make. Oh, so you didn't make any money? No, we still made billions of dollars, but we're down 20% from what we expected. So it's kind of putting a negative spin on a positive. They're still up 7 points, right? People boosted using our system on average by 7 points, 7 spots, but it is down from last quarter, which was 9, which grew from October 2023, which is when the big first start of these latest Google AI-based spam updates started coming out. And we actually saw a boost because our system was already ahead of that. But now parts of our system, either our users are not choosing the right keywords to begin with. So you really, really need to go into keyword discovery and choose the right keywords to begin with. I cannot stress how important that is in our system. And this is a gem of our system, and no other system has this. No other system does it the way we do it, which is fascinating. And there's another reason, that's part of the reason why they're down. They're only being boosted by 7 spots. And there's another reason, which I'm going to get to at the end of the presentation, which has a lot to do with the spam score and whether people are using it or not, and using our article builder, which we'll get to in a bit. But as you alluded to, yes, the people who are, so only boosted by 7 spots on average, which is down by 2. However, the people who are ranking better. We had 166 number 1 rankings, which is up from 125, which is a 27% increase from last quarter. And we have 614 top 5 rankings of those people who are tracking their rankings in our system. Many, many users are not tracking their rankings in our system, so we don't know. We don't know how well they're doing. But they stay signed on more or less, so we presume they're doing okay. Otherwise, they wouldn't be paying us, and they're not leaving in droves. So that's up 24%. So basically up a quarter in terms of number 1 rankings and top 5 rankings. But this one really exploded. We had 926 page 1 rankings, up from 185 from last quarter. And that's a whopping approximate 600% increase from last quarter. So that's insane. So even though on average, the whole user base is down by 2 spots, only being boosted by 7 spots on average by using our AI to do their SEO, we got 926 page 1 rankings divided amongst, I don't know how many users there are doing that, which is a whopping increase of 600%, just generally speaking, when you extract that all out. So that's interesting that the people who are ranking, though, are doing better. And so that's what I like to say about these kinds of updates, is that when you have a giant Google update and the whole industry is screaming, that is actually a good thing, or can be looked down as a good thing. I know it doesn't feel good if it was your site who was hit, of course, but that's an opportunity, right? It's not a problem, it's an opportunity. And it's an opportunity to get better. It's an opportunity to improve your rankings, maybe change your business, maybe add in rank and rent, maybe add in digital real estate, maybe diversify a bit, maybe sell the properties that are not going to do too well anymore and go into SEO and do searches for niches that might have more money behind them and might do a little bit better. Start looking for other niches here where you're like, okay, I see these different niches that have a good average keyword revenue ballpark. And that's not a promise, but it is a one-to-one comparison of niches to niches. And you could say, hey, wow, I thought this niche selling photos online would make a lot of money. It only makes this much, and it's tough compared to, oh, look at this, treadmill makes a lot more money, or immigration attorney makes a lot more money, and it's generally easier to rank for. So those are the kinds of business decisions that you need to make right off the bat. And those are the kind of business decisions that these people are making, because they're finding, obviously, the people who use the system better are finding the low-hanging fruit keywords, which are easier to rank for, and they're getting a better ranking from doing so. Okay, so the question is how they did it. So this is the promise of how they ranked number one, and I'll tell you, it's very simple. In our system, we can see very clearly how these people got number one from doing dozens and dozens of statistical data correlative analysis reports, or analyses, if you will, over millions of data points. We can see very clearly in our system that our AI system can parse through that data and could start giving us actionable insights very quickly. And those actionable insights are rolled over to you and given down to you very quickly as to what Google is looking for in certain areas and what are the important ranking factors. And quite frankly, it comes down to three factors. Quite frankly, it comes down to three factors: the average predictability of the words in an order, the semantic score of the various scoring we do. Now, in our system for reports, let me show you here. We do these systems here where we check the actual Google ranking systems that they use. We check BERT. You've heard the BERT AI, right? We check RankBrain, we check TW-BERT, and we check query interpretation. TW-BERT is a white paper that they put out recently. It's term weighting BERT. It's using their further AI, probably not BERT anymore. It's probably PaLM 2, but the white paper said TW-BERT, so we're going to use BERT here. Although it's probably PaLM 2, which is their more latest LLM. Anyway, these are the actual ranking AIs that Google uses. And this is a fraction of them that we do the on-page report on. We have the helpful AI, and we have the review AI, and we have the freshness content system. We have that all built into our article builder as well. But we actually run a report on these actual numbers, and you get a score, a semantic score. And this semantic score is rolled into the data you will find here in the article builder. So if I look at weightlifting machine, for example, I think that's on content. This semantic score is right here, the Google semantic score. And you have to be in this Goldilocks, this optimized score range to have the highest rankings, which we've found out. Month after month after month, millions of data points have proven that this is the highest, most important ranking factor. You need to be in the optimized score range, or the Goldilocks zone. The second one is this is average predictability length. These two are very important for rankings, and they correlate very strongly with rankings. For ranking number one, you have to be at 4.1 for this, or you had to in previous meetings when I've done this, ran these reports. And the Google semantic score needed to be between the ranges of these ranges here. Well, so we know that these are some of the more important ranking factors. Have they changed at all? And the answer is yes, they've changed just a little bit, but not really that much. So 77% of the user base this quarter broke even or gained. That's down approximately 2% from last quarter. So again, we saw a bit of a decrease here. We're also seeing a bit of a decrease in those users who broke even or gained. However, I know exactly in some ways why that happened. These two scores here, and then a third I'm going to mention in a bit. This score here, the average predictability, which is the average predictability length of your words in a row, how many words you can have in a row that look like an AI wrote it. It doesn't mean an AI wrote it necessarily. It just means it looks like an AI wrote it. At the end of the day, nobody knows if an AI actually wrote it. All those AI detectors are lying to you when they say that we can tell an AI wrote it. No, all they can tell is that it fits a certain footprint that current AIs are producing. But that's not even a ranking factor. That doesn't even matter. People, let me mention this, and let me make sure I'm clear. People think that it matters if you have AI content. It doesn't. We've checked over 1 million data points. It does not matter if AI generated your content. And Google themselves have said it does not matter if AI generated your content. And Google has a good reason to say that because they're making AIs that can generate content and they want you to use them and make money. So we know for a fact, a capital F fact, that AI content alone does not mean you're going to get bad rankings. It's this number here that I showed you, this average predictability length when it comes to AI content needs to be at a certain ratio. And the ratio from last quarter was 4.13. Basically, that means you're allowed 4.1 words. They're actually tokens, they're word pieces, but I'll just say the word words because it's easier. You're allowed to have 4 words in order, 1, 2, 3, 4 on average, that an AI would produce, no more than this, to guarantee number 1 rankings. This is the statistical data correlation. For number 1 rankings, of which we have thousands to look at, this number is 4.1 or around there, 4.13 from this quarter, which is fascinating. It was steadily 4.1 for the last 2 quarters. Now it's 4.13. And I think the reason we're seeing that slight increase, that tiny, tiny increase of 0.03, I think is because more people are using AI content, and so there's more AI content in the index that people are using. Greg, what do you think about that?
Yeah, probably. I think it's been used for the last 5 years, so I don't know. I think it's definitely more commonplace. But yeah, if you look at pretty much every email you get, if you look at the SERPs, you can just tell that these things are, ChatGPT written. I don't think our AI article writer, sounds like an AI.
No.
So I think that's every piece that I'm like producing from it is well under 4. So lately, and 4.13 going up, it doesn't surprise me. You're right. It's more prevalent than ever, but it has been out there for a while. So, it is what it is, but
Yeah. So I think that's a good thing because I think that means that more people are realizing that AI content is safe as long as you follow certain guidelines. Like it can't be higher than 4.1 words on average in a row per sentence of being clearly generated by an AI. But also it has to be high quality content. It can't be spammy content. It can't be obviously made for SEO content. It can't be thin content, which we track all these things, and I'm going to talk about them in a second. That is the final score that is the most important. It is the average predictability. It is the semantic score here. This average predictability, this semantic score here needs to be in a certain range, and the spam score that we'll be talking about in a second. But this average predictability was up from last quarter, which is interesting. It was steadily since last year, 2023, since the beginning, it was 4.1, and now it's gone up a little bit. So that's very fascinating that our number 1 rankings, or the page 1 average predictability, is gone up ever so slightly. Actually, that's wrong. That's not page 1. That's spot number 1. That's spot number 1. That's what I checked. All right, so also the ranking spot number 1 average semantic score, what is it? It's now not in the Goldilocks zone anymore. It's not 1 to 10 points under the average of your competitors. It is plus 3.5 points to plus 5 points above your competitors. And so that is another change. That's going to naturally happen over time. I can account to that, by the way, our models have changed. We changed models that we're using here. As you can see here in the report that I mentioned, we changed the models that we're using to track the keywords, both the phrases and the words, both the kind of entities, both entity phrases and both phrase entities and both word entities. We have a slightly different kind of scoring system that we're using here. And so the scoring is different, right? TW-BERT can weight certain terms smaller, right? And can weight certain terms higher. The query interpretation test, which Google does, and they fully admitted they do. And if you check the manuals for their search algorithm, they do query interpretation. Nobody else checks this. Nobody else looks at this. So we score it, and we give you a very comprehensive aggregated scoring. That's changed since January, and so I'm not at all surprised to see this has gone up. And so, when this changes, we know, and we can immediately change it in our system. And we can guide you into having the highest ranking content this is a major factor in the highest ranking content. You definitely need to be in the green here of whatever ratio this is. So make sure you follow this ratio of being in the green. And that's ranking number 1. And just page 1. So ranking number 1 is +3.5. Page 1 is +3.8. You see it starts to go over because people are sometimes over-optimized. Like this page currently is over-optimized. It's too high. So that can happen. And as you can see, the further from number 1 you go out, the more this goes up. Also, the more it fluctuates wildly from being way lower or way higher. And that will hurt your rankings. If you are way lower than this, it will hurt your rankings. And if you're way higher than this, it'll hurt your rankings. You need to be in a Goldilocks zone. So this one is you got to be in the middle, versus this one you want to be as low as possible, or at least lower than your competitors. And this one you want to be as high as possible. And this one you want to be as low as possible to a threshold of 4.1, and then it doesn't really matter anymore. And we know that these 4 factors are very important for rankings. And I'm going to talk about the third most important one in a second, which is spam score. So interesting that these scores are up. Even though Google is saying you don't want to stuff in keywords, and they're right. You don't want to stuff in keywords, but you do need a natural blend of keywords in your content. And our system here helps you get a natural blend of whoops, I'm timed out. This here, or actually we just had an article, an update push probably is what happened. Our system here does give you a natural blend of the entities being used, how many times you're using it, and tells you should be getting more being used in there to give you a natural blend of the different keywords being used and the different entities being used. Using using an approximation and a model building of Google's actual AIs they use to rank pages and not guessing at some other AI that they don't actually use. You can also go to the SEO tab here and get the scores for the spam scores to different areas. And also down here, it'll tell you the higher level entities you're not using that you should be filtering into the content. It'll also tell you if you should be using, if your competitors are using exact match queries, which in this case is weightlifting machine, in their particular areas or in their headers as well, is another really good thing to look at for your SEO. Okay, now let's look at the losses. Let's see if SEO got harder in January to April of 2024. And the short answer is yes, it got a little bit harder. 71 EMQs fell off page 1. So 71 EMQs were on page 1 out of like 5,000, fell off page 1. And that's up. So again, that's only, 71 out of like 5,000 that fell off from this quarter. But that is up slightly. It's 1.7%, slightly up from approximately 1% last quarter. So that's, 1.7% of our user base fell off the SERP. Not very high at all. And that's because our system does a pretty damn good job in warning you, hey, this is really spammy, or hey, your scores are way out, you shouldn't be doing this, and people are choosing the right keywords to try to rank for to begin with. The easier the niche you go for, the more forgiving Google is, of course. So that is the reason why it's only 1.7%. Now, I admit it is up slightly, but it is only 1.7%. It's only 71 EMQs out of over 5,000 EMQs this quarter that fell off page 1. They had a 1 to 10 ranking spot and they lost it. Okay, well, what about more other losses? Well, 328 or 7.9% of the user base had losses overall, averaging 68 spots on average. Now, the amount of losses are down from 755. So less people lost, but they lost more. It's up from an average of 25 spots. So that's an interesting change. That makes sense. That tracks with the data we're seeing, right? We're seeing a lot of people are doing well in our system here and getting good rankings. Those people who are ranking well, those people who are getting good rankings are ranking well. But those people, and so less people had losses, but people who had losses, they lost more on average. It's up from 25 spots lost on average to 68 spots lost on average. So that's an interesting statistic there. About 200 maintained their position, which is about the same. So the same as last quarter, about 200 EMQs maintained their position. There was no change, up or down. They maintained their position. And here's another one that's up only marginally, around approximately 2%. About 1,759 were never indexed. That's about 42% of what we were looking at. About 42% of what we were looking at were never indexed. That's up by around 2%. It was 40% last quarter, and now it's 42. So that's also interesting as well, that 1,759 attempts, not users, but attempts at ranking for a search, were tried, but they never got indexed. And I looked at them, and I'd say the majority of them, approximately 70%, their scores are way off. Their scores here are way off. This score is way off, and this score is way off, which are the biggest ranking factors that we know of. This one is about equal to this one. I'll be talking about the spam score in a second because it's new for this quarter. But the biggest ranking factor that we know of that correlates with ranking the most strongly and the most clearly was way off. They were either way under the optimized score range, or they were way, way over the optimized score range. And that's just not going to work. That's just not going to fly. That clearly in our system correlates with poor rankings. So we know we've got the magic juice here. We know we've got some of the magic of what actually Google uses to rank here. So you cannot, I can't stress this enough, guys. You have to be in the green zone here, or you are not going to get indexed and you're not going to rank. And if you do, even if you do rank, you're going to lose rankings on existing pages if you try to optimize it, but then fail to do so and either de-optimize it or over-optimize it. Over-optimization and de-optimization is a real thing. And so you've got to be really careful that you're in the green zone here. And so get onto SEO Copilot. Go to SEOCopilotAI.com. Sign up free for the 2 weeks. No credit card needed. Put your pages in. Do a report for your EMQs. Put your pages in here and then run these scores. Run an audit on your page and see how well you're doing. And if you're not ranking well and these are red, then change them. If you're ranking great, don't change it at all, no matter what my system says. If you're already ranking great, that's the rule in SEO. If it's ranking great, don't touch it. But if you are dissatisfied with the rankings and you see red in any of these areas, make sure to fix that. And you can use our AI to do that pretty easily. I have plenty of tutorials showing how to do that. I also have a free live training session. You could sign up for the free live training session every second Friday. The next one coming up is in May 3rd, May 17th, and May 31st. By all means, go ahead and sign up for those. All right, so now the new spam score. So, Josh, you told me that this score was important and it's up slightly, fascinating. This score is important and it's up a tiny amount, fascinating. But what about this other spam score you mentioned here? That the AI will analyze your content and give you actual actionable suggestions and give you actual examples of what is making it spammy. Okay, well, how's that working now? How's that going? How important is the spam score? Did it help people? The answer is yes. About 10% of our system is clearly using the spam score. On average, the spam score users got a boost of 8.6 spots. Now, I'll remind you, that is 1.6 spots over the global boost of 7 spots on average. The average boost, remember, was 7 spots. The spam score users, got a higher boost on average. So that is clearly telling me that this spam score that's one thing telling me that the spam score is a major ranking factor, and it's what the updates that Google has made lately are completely about, and that it's something that you should pay close attention to, this spam score. If it is red, if it's in the red, if it be red, you be dead. You got to fix it, right? Just remember, if it be red, you be dead. And so this is one data point proving that on average, our users using the spam score got a better boost of 8.6. That's 1.6 spots over the global boost average of 7. 33% gained rankings, and they gained an average of 38 spots. And that's higher than the other base that gained rankings. That's higher than this increase of getting rankings. 81% broke even or gained, which is higher than the 77% of the others who broke even or gained. So more people here broke even or gained using our spam score to guide them to not make spammy content. And only 18% lost rankings, which is way lower than the other user base. And as you remember, this user base, 42% were never indexed. On this, on the user base using the spam score, 37% were never indexed. So that's an improvement of 5%, all right, if I'm doing the math correctly. 37%, that's less people were never indexed here than the people who were never indexed here at 42%. So while this is going up, people not using the spam score, people who are letting our spam score guide them, they're getting better rankings, they're ranking more, they're ranking better, they're losing rankings less, and they're being de-indexed less, or they're being passed over for indexation less. So what does that tell me? That tells me use the damn spam score. That's what that tells me. I made it for a reason, and it tells me that it's working, right? So you need to use the spam score. You need to, let me show you it again here. You need to go in, and that's all across the board. That's not only the body spam score, but that's the URL spam score, that's the title spam score. The URL spam score clearly indicated the lower it is, the better. You want the higher it is, the worse. You want the lowest spam score possible. So we'll generate this weightlifting equipment for weightlifting machine, and we'll run the spam score, and this will get about a 1 or 2 out of 5. Oh, no, it liked it. It said 0. The exact match semantic or EMQ is mentioned once in the URL string. This syntax is also good with a dash between the words and no extraneous directories. Perfect. Boom. Weightlifting equipment is pretty darn good for weightlifting machine. And then also the title. You want to run a spam score on the title, you can use our auto-generated one, or you can use one that you write, or you can import it. Run the spam score. Now this one is going to be low. It'll probably be good, because it says weightlifting machines here. It does. The title effectively serves the query intent for weightlifting machine by promising to help users get stronger with the best weightlifting machines. The EMQ weightlifting machine is mentioned once, which aligns well with the guidelines. The title does not mention the EMQ or its variations excessively, which is a good thing. It also offers a useful selling proposition to the users. The date provides a fresh signal for the content, and the title is grammatically correct. So that's a bug. There is no date here, but I'm going to fix that. But it should have a date. But anyway, is it good enough in terms of the semantic scoring, in terms of the spamming? It is a good title tag. The meta description is also important. So URL and title spam directly correlated with rankings very, very highly. The lower, the better. The lower, the better. So you definitely want to make sure that you have a low spam score on these. Same with the meta description. The lower, the better as well. And what this one says here is it got a 0, so it's perfect. The meta description effectively serves the query intent by providing information about top-of-the-line weightlifting machines for home gyms. It also promises to help users maximize their workout potential and achieve faster results with expert-approved equipment, offering value and conversion rate optimization. Moreover, it does not mention the exact match query or any close variations. The grammar is correct and it serves the user's intent well. So the written score here gets a 1 out of 5, but that's multiplied by 20 to give you a 100% spam score. So it's all the same when you're looking at, it's apples to apples when you're comparing them all here. The H1 also was very important for spam, not having spammy keywords put in here. That kind of changes and varies slightly. We notice in the statistics, which was very interesting. The more utilitarian your EMQ gets, like the more it's like running shoes or car hire Ireland, the more you're allowed to have the EMQ in here. So our AI systems are going to be tailored for that, to see how that works, and are going to give you a score appropriate to the kind of content that you're making, whether it's e-commerce content or written content or a review style page, whatever it is, our AI is going to tell you what's spammy for that particular kind of content. And so the only one we got to worry about here that apparently is not working very well, and I'll run it again, is this weightlifting machine body content. And this one also correlated strongly, the spam score with body content correlated very strongly with rankings. And you can run it a few times to get an idea and read what it says. It says, okay, it's not too bad. Here's a 30 out of 100. You can run it again. If it gives you a bad score 2 out of 3 times, you should definitely address it. If it gives you a bad score only once out of 3 times, you should ignore it. If it's good the rest of the time. And quite frankly, I just adjusted this in the AI in the back end, and I hadn't rerun it, so it might be fine with how the spam score is now. So that's the point, is that, guys, we are making changes to this on the daily, and we are updating our systems and making sure that they are the most optimized to help you rank. And so, you should go and check your pages you've done previously to see if the scoring has changed. We're going to make an automatic system that does that for you in the future, but right now you can manually go into the system and check to see if the scores have changed. Also, you can check to see any new changes in terms of, you can run a new report in the keyword discovery to see if there's any new keyword opportunities you're missing, and you can run a new keyword spy report if the keyword spy report is too old. So that is the fascinating changes that we've been making there. Greg, what do you think of that? What have you been noticing with using the system?
So overall, I think basically, the spam score is definitely the newest of them. Everything else is, I've been using for, a while now. So, and I think we've been discussing them, but quite a bit. The spam score is very interesting. I think it definitely takes a new look at analyzing content. I'm from using Surfer and these other tools, and it was all just about getting the score as high as possible, getting those LSI, those NLP keywords in there.
Which Google doesn't even use to rank. So
they don't even use to rank.
Why are you adding them? But yeah.
There was no effort to, tell users, well, you're kind of overdoing it here. They were encouraging overdo it. And then it's probably since August of 2023 when helpful and spam updates started really hitting content, especially those like Surfer generated and optimized, crushing those type of pages and sites. So the spam score is a real fresh look. I think very, very needed in the industry, and it's got to be paid attention to. It takes a little time to do. I'm not going to lie; it's a time consuming. 20 minutes, let's call it, for a page. That could be like nothing for some people who spend hours.
Yeah. But
for me, like 5 minutes is a lot. So 20 minutes is a lot. So I think. Overall, it is worth the effort to focus in on that spam score. If again, it's in the red.
Definitely, so. And we've just taken steps and changes to make it faster and easier. So now it'll be even easier to get it in the green. The content we'll be producing over the next few months will be more in the green automatically, and also it'll be easier for you to get the content in the green by having less words to remove. And our scoring showed in the correlations that our spam score maybe was even a little bit too picky, making sure people didn't put spammy content. So we can dial it back just ever so slightly, and it's still safe to do so, and it still correlates with high rankings, depending on the niche you're in, whether it's utilitarian, it's more transactional, or it's more informational. The more informational it is, the more you don't want to be spamming keywords. The more utilitarian it is, the more, there's no way to have an e-commerce page without saying running shoes, Josh. So running shoes is going to be said a whole bunch of times. We can account for that, and the stats can account for that as well. So we can change those things to make it the most easy to use for you, definitely hands down. So that was it, folks. That was the how they ranked number 1. This is how they did it. I'll show you again. They went in here and they made sure that this was in the green. They made sure this was in the green. And they made sure that this was in the green. And this was in the green. These 4. The heat score does correlate with rankings, like Greg said, from 2023. We did do a spot check, and you don't want this to be 6s. You want it to be in the green. You want to have 7s or higher. You want to have a C+ or higher on your heat score of how helpful you're being. And these questions is a questionnaire that Google has actually provided these questions that we use to train and machine learn our AIs to make sure that you're producing the content that provides insightful analysis and interesting information beyond the obvious, and all the other kinds of things that you really need to provide to make sure that you're providing the EAT content that you want, the expertise, the experience, the authority, and the trust, and for us, the helpfulness as well. So how'd they rank number one? They followed the recommendations here. They made sure they were in the green, and they chose the right keywords to try to rank for to begin with. And we guarantee you that this is a winning strategy at least 60 to 70%, if not higher. We know that those pages are going to get indexed, and we know that they're going to get ranked. We can guarantee it to you. We can see it in the system. Now, of course, the health of your site might fluctuate that, of course. And if you're having any problems with it, I want to hear about it. Email me at joshpashinsky@gmail.com. I'd be more than happy to spot check it for you and see what's going on and help you diagnose things. So let's quickly check here to see if there's any questions of anybody. Does anybody have any questions before we sign off? No, looks like there's no questions at all. Great. A nice short day. Fantastic. So I'll turn us back here to, hey, where's the gallery mode? Oh, well, I don't know how to use Zoom apparently, but thanks very much for watching, everybody. Super interesting. We're going to do this again, of course, in 3 months, 4 months, and we're going to check to see how the new spam scores are working. We're going to see how the new high quality articles we're putting out are working. We're going to see how the new spam scores are working. We're going to see how the new SEO scores we're putting in are going to work. And as always, we're going to improve keyword discovery as well and help you find the absolute best ranking opportunities. We're going to be detecting what we're calling primary query intent. So you've got to find out what the query intent is. Sometimes you think, you type in link building specialist, and as an SEO, you think people looking for a link building specialist are looking to buy links. But actually, they're looking to learn about what the link building specialist job and what that's all about, at least as far as Google is concerned. So we're going to be building a smarter AI into that. That's going to help you tailor your content to make sure that it's a knockout win for Google and definitely get you ranked higher, faster, better, cheaper, and easier. All right, guys, let me quickly check to see if there's any questions there. It doesn't look like it. All right, fantastic. So email me at joshpashinsky@gmail.com if you have any questions at all. If you want to join the university that did the statistical research for this and found out all these ranking factors, that's my underground university called SEO University, Underground SEO University. Email me, joshpashinsky@gmail.com, and I get you a huge discount if you're an SEO Copilot user. Also, you can try SEO Copilot for free for 2 weeks with no credit card needed. Just go to SEOCopilotai.com. And when you want to sign up, make sure you check below because I've got a coupon code in my description for 10% off. So with that, thanks very much for everyone for watching. Say bye there, Greg.
Bye, guys. See you next week.
All right, thanks, guys. Now